Hi there, Kaizen Sensei here. Going to talk to you about the Lean 4 of the 5 principles. Today the subject is waste and constraints. Okay, waste is in the Japanese terminology starts with these three M's: mura, murai, and muda. Okay, mura means uneven, unbalanced. If you walk on an unbalanced area, it causes you not to walk uh, smoothly. And as a result of it, you face some sort of overprocessing or friction, and and as you continue doing that, you will ultimately face or be part of a wasteful situation. I'm going to give you an example using a meat grinder, and I'm going to use the three principles from Six Sigma: I, P, and O, which stands for input, process, and output. Okay? Input will be represented by the meat. Process is the meat grinder. The output is the hamburger. Okay? Anything that is done in the meat grinder, the process part is what we consider value added. Anything else is not considered a value added process. Okay? Now, there are two types of non-value, which we call Muda 1, Muda 2. Muda 1 is non-value added but necessary. Okay? And the non-value added 2 is just basically waste. Waste is determined by this acronym, Tim Wood, which stands for transportation, inventory, motion, waiting, overprocessing, overproducing, and defects. I'm going to have a separate video on that because it's relatively comprehensive, and then I'll get more and more involved into what waste is. I just wanted to give you kind of like a snapshot of how waste fits into lean manufacturing. Constraints. Constraints is considered a bottleneck. Anything that gets in the way or anything that slows you down is considered a constraint. Now I'm going to give you an example. You're part of the Boy Scouts and you have to get up that mountain by 4 o'clock. There's about 20 of you, but the rules is that you have to go as a group. You can't have 10 people ahead and 10 people behind. You all have to go in a group. So how do you do that? You put your slowest person in the front. Boom. Okay? And as a result, you have to force that person to go at 100%. Okay, so what you're doing is you're subordinating the team, okay, to be as fast as your slowest part, and the only way you can get him to get there faster is to push that person to at least reach 100% level. Okay, that's exploiting it. And then if you're really, really good, then you can actually push it by increasing the cadence or the rhythm by elevating his level to 120%. Repeat it until you've reached your destination on a timely manner. Okay, this is the basic part of waste and constraint. That's part of the 4 out of 5 principles in lean manufacturing. So anyway, I'm going to talk about Tim Wood later on. The next principle will talk about standard work and continuous improvement. Thank you for listening. Hi there, Kaizen Sensei here. Going to be talking to you. This is going to be number 4. Okay, 4 of 5 of the lean principles. We're going to talk about waste and constraints. Okay, these are the factors that slows down the process, makes you inefficient. Okay, first thing we're going to be talking about is waste, and in the Japanese, they use the 3 terms mura, murai, and muda. Okay, muda is waste. What causes the waste is that if you work or in an environment that is not level, they call it muda, which is uneven, where you're giddy, your burden is hard, it makes it very hard for you to do your work. And as a result, it causes murai or friction. And that friction will cause the waste. In a work environment, this is actually part of the SIPOC, but I'm just going to use the IPO part of it. I stands for input, P stands for process, O stands for output. Okay, follow me? Now I'm going to use this little meat grinder as an example. Here you're putting input is the meat. Okay, you turn the grinder and out comes a hamburger. Okay, output is the hamburger, process is the meat grinder. Now in the world of lean, value is only identified by the actual process. Okay, so when we look at it from here, the process is what we consider value added. Everything else is non-value added. Okay, so but there are two types of muda. Muda 1 is non-value added but necessary, and the muda 2 is just basically waste. And in the realm of lean, we call it Tim Wood, the 7 deadly wastes. T stands for transportation, I stands for inventory, M stands for motion, W stands for waiting, O stands for over processing, O stands for overproducing, and D stands for defects. And that's going to be another video because it's relatively comprehensive. So anything that has to do with waste that actually creates a situation that makes it inefficient. The goal for lean is to try to limit this, if not eliminate waste. Another factor that makes things inefficient is called constraints. This is part of Eli Goldratt's theory of constraints. And I'm going to use a small example of how this works out. Pretend that you're in part of a group of hikers. But the goal is not to leave anybody behind or have anybody take off like the peloton in the Tour de France. Okay, the thing is that everybody has to work, has to go in a group. Otherwise, somebody could be left behind and get sick, or guy in the front can get lost. Okay, whatever. So what you do is you have to identify what's causing the constraint, meaning who's behind and who's ahead. So in order for you to make it so that they are all together, you subordinate the team so that this guy stays with the group slow enough for this guy to stay with the group. Okay, so you instruct him to stay, and you put, and the way that you subordinate to the term is that you're only as fast as your slowest guy. Okay, so you put the slowest guy up front. Boom. Okay, and tell him. You have to exploit him and tell him he's got to go 100%, otherwise he's going to lag the whole party. So right here he's probably going 60-70% because he just doesn't want to walk. So we put him out there and you exploit it by saying, okay, let's go. So sometimes you have to do that, oh, march. I don't know what I believe, that kind of stuff. And that you're exploiting the speed of the movement. Then you elevate it by pushing him. Instead of having him just go at 100%, you want to push him to go to 120%, which speeds up the process, okay? And then you continue to do that until you finally reach your destination as a group. Now, constraint is sometimes called a bottleneck, okay? You're on a freeway, you're on a 4-lane freeway, and then it shifts into 2. As you can see, everybody has to slow down. You have to slow down, you have to subordinate yourself to the constraint. Otherwise, it's going to make things work. Okay, so that is lean 4 out of 5. Waste and constraint. You do whatever you can to eliminate the waste, and you do whatever you can to mitigate the constraint, as well as exploit and elevate the constraint so that you can get to your destination more efficiently and faster. Thank you for listening. I got one more video to show you.